it's difficult, but at the same time, it is so easy to get going on something. Like it's literally what what does it take to have a business? You know, it's like you offer service and you get paid for it. You know, and have your checking account and have a way to process money. You know, it's the basics of it is so simple.
It's about drive, it's about power. We stay hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours.
What did you think about that YouTube video that I sent you of that guy talking about?
It was good. It makes total sense, right? Like, because I get caught up in doing the same videos. I mean, obviously, a lot of my workout videos are the same, but it is, you know, to catch the eye, to catch different people, you know, doing it, yeah, different locations, different styles, different, yeah, I mean, different things that you're doing. I think it's really good and it makes sense. Like it's
so
especially how he's comparing to the night shows, like they're all the same. They do the monologue. They do, like, so a lot of people, right, who are content creators, you look at it, there's a guy standing on the street interviewing someone. How many, they all do that. You know, there's a lot of the same stuff. So it definitely makes sense.
To give the audience context, I sent Nate this. I found this, like, I don't know, it's a pretty old, like, video. It's a YouTube video of this guy who used to work at YouTube, who worked at Instagram, and he had the opportunity to work with Colbert, I think. Anyways, a nighttime show guy. And I didn't really know anything about him because I don't stay up late and watch TV. But he was comparing his show to the other nighttime shows, which, like Conan O'Brien, I'm going to name a bunch of old ones, but like Jay Leno and Jimmy
Colbert.
Kimmel, they're all, Colbert, they're all like sit down interview type shows. And there's the same elements of the show every single night, every single week. And this other guy does it where he started a YouTube channel and also did his paid production show that's on TV, but they would do like 5 or 6 different styles of shows. And he goes, it was like, we got so much more engagement with our audience because we were constantly changing up the format, and it was keeping fresh and it was fun. And the things that we discovered was the things that really, really worked, we doubled down on, and the things that didn't work, we didn't double down on, and we just gave those up. And it was one of those YouTube videos that I shared with Nate that I thought it was a good reminder for you and I both, because oftentimes, like you said, we get into these patterns of making the same content over and over and over, and sometimes just stealing from, not stealing, but taking an idea from someone else and implementing into your own show can add some of that virality to it and bring in a new audience.
Well, especially for the videos, and I mean, you have the best opportunity because you're traveling, so you're always having a different background, and that helps. It really does, right? Because like if everyone's always seeing your videos, always sitting on the couch or always at your desk or always in the car, right? So I was trying to do that the other day too. I was like, I'm gonna record my 60-second video, but I'm gonna do it like standing outside of the gym, kind of like just got done at the gym, let me record this video. So it just that reminder of like, just do a different scenery, and I think that's what he was talking about, whether it's at a park or just find random places that you can do that can be essentially the same content. Just put your background, especially for videos, what's appealing, what's going to catch someone's eye because they're scrolling or whatever, and it looks different. So I thought it was great stuff. Just that little nugget. He had a bunch of other good stuff in there, but just that one thing is what I really took away, of just changing up the background, changing up your scenery, so that people just don't get used to seeing the same thing.
Well, and it's one of those things that at least for me, the daily vlog has taught me that if you do a daily YouTube video, if you're going to produce the same video every single day, God, you're going to burn out. You got to change the angles. Like my wife was, we bought bicycles here in Tulum, Mexico to cruise around because the beach is like 3-4 miles away. And it's just easier to take a bike because the cabs here in Mexico are crazy expensive. Like to go 1 mile, it's like $12, $12 US, not 12 pesos.
Dang.
Super expensive, right? So I was like, fuck, let's buy some bikes. And which we could talk about because I think it's a great business model. But we were like, I was videoing like unlocking the lock and like taking the lock apart, pulling each bike out, putting the kickstand out, and like going through this process. And it took me like 5 minutes to film this whole thing. And the only usable content was like probably, I don't know, 4 to 12 seconds. But that little pattern of video breaks up the entire video. It makes all of a sudden removing your bike out of your little bike rack almost like it's interesting now. And instead of just, it's just about changing it up and giving it a different look. And my wife's like, what the hell are you doing? I go, just wait, watch tomorrow's video and you'll understand why I'm doing this. And, it adds, it adds a little cinematography, adds a little more, it looks like you took a little more effort, to make that video.
Oh, for sure. And that's one thing I'm always trying to do too is even it could be the same thing, but just different angles, different, different top, bottom, side. Like, it works too because I'll see different videos. Like, it just I'm standing at different angles, doing my gym stuff, and maybe doing the same thing, but you just still get that engagement or that the views, and it's crazy how that stuff works. So it's just different, I guess, and it just catches people from differently. And still, time lapse is great.
You like I hate time
Well,
lapses.
I
Oh
no,
my
it's not
gosh.
that I like them, but like
Oh,
literally, they get 3 to 4 times as many views. Most of my videos getting 400 views. My time lapse video gets 1,600 views. It's like it's crazy. So
really?
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah.
Maybe I should just put up some time lapses of not us like talking on camera, but like
Well,
just a
yeah.
time lapse of the ocean, and then you and I just doing this podcast. Do you think people would watch that more than us in tank tops?
Possibly, but even that, like your whole bike ride, right? Like, or I guess not even time lapse. That whole process from unlocking everything, getting on the bike, going to the beach could have just been, I guess, sped up. I mean, it's something that like I guess people get a whole something, but short. So I think it's kind of what they look forward to seeing. Just because even though like I'm even the workouts literally in the same spot, but it's just changed it up enough for me getting up, moving in and out of the frame, and I don't know what about it that it just catches people's eyes.
Well, dude, it's because one, people's like attention span is very, very short. Like holy shit, like content you can consume in like 10 minutes. If your time lapse, if like people's apparently this is what I've understood. Like, so the reason why video is 24 frames per second is because that's how fast our brain can watch a single image per second. So that's why it's like so intriguing. And then if you watch the same like object or same like still like fixed video, if you speed it up to 120 frames per second, like you do in your time lapse, all of a sudden people can catch on to like many, many different movements. And I think it's entertaining. I hate to say it. Like I hate time lapses. I hate taking them. They take forever because I got to do a 20-minute time lapse to get like 30 seconds of footage. It drives me crazy. I'm just standing there burning my feet. I'm just getting a sunburn right here. But it's it is worth it. It's one of those things. It's fun. It's fun to do.
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. And I want to hear. I think we were getting a kind of interesting topic because I think it does kind of fall into what we do and people's perspectives, right? And I was like that story you're talking about. We're getting into talking to 4 different people down there in Mexico as some nomads because I think what it really does is we have our perspective, right, of the U.S. and what we want to accomplish, and which I think it's a capitalistic mindset, right? We want certain things, whether it's cars, whether it's houses. We want these things that we're working towards, and what I was kind of taken away or just realizing that a lot of people here we get into debt for these things and then we have to work, right? We're having to work this hard, keep getting promotions and doing more and more to just maintain what we have or pay all these bills that we've got. But you're kind of touching on that guy and like, well, why wouldn't you want to come here? And he has that life that a lot of people talk about, right? Like, oh man, I'm gonna sit on the laptop on the beach, drink a Corona, and that's it. And when you really kind of break down, like, well, that's his life. Like that's what he does. Why would he want to do anything different? When people like work, become an entrepreneur, I have this business, I'm gonna make and to have that life. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I think it's perspective, right? It's a lot of this stuff where there's people that like they live their life. Why would they want to change that?
It's so my grandma when I first started like traveling more full time, this is probably like 2 years ago, and I expressed to my grandma that I wanted to travel with my family and be able to document our journey and create this business and this life, of being able to essentially become financially free, rather than now than later, and doing that on a lot less. Most people's goals in the United States is to live off, tens of thousands of dollars every month. And mine was very simple, like to essentially, be somewhat of a minimalist, become a digital nomad and live off less, and to be able to travel sooner, travel now rather than later. She gave me this article, and I didn't really understand it at the time, but the article was a story. This American businessman goes down and charters this fishing boat down to Mexico, and they're out there catching fish, and he asked the charter captain, what do you do? He goes, well, I fish every day, and when I catch enough fish to eat, I go back home and I spend time with my family. And the American goes, well, why don't you get like a couple more boats, okay? And we can do some marketing, we'll get you a website, get you a phone number. We're gonna draw some Americans down here to do some more fishing, and then once you get a couple boats, then we can franchise it, and then we'll franchise it to other locations in Mexico, and then you'll have this huge fleet of yachts that you can take people out fishing, and you'll have these employees and these crews, and you'll be making all this money, and then you'll be able to retire and be able to buy your boat and go fishing every day and be able to bring enough fish back to your family. And the guy looks at him and goes, I'm already doing that. Why would I put myself through this hell to get to the same point I am where you want me to be? And it was one of those stories that, you kind of laugh at, and you're like, oh, it's probably a myth, or it's one of those fairy tales that, people tell entrepreneurs that, it's not worth chasing if you already have the life that was worth chased. And then I started talking to these other like digital nomads, and I started talking to some of the locals here in Mexico, and I started asking them these same questions, and they go, listen, like, I already have the life I want. Like, I get to have my Corona on the beach. I get to go fishing when I want. I work at this little store. I live in this little hut, and I have enough food, and I have enough money. Why do I need to chase more? And it made me like realize like you better have a crystal clear picture of what you're chasing, because life is very, very simple if you truly want it to be that simple. And it was one of those like realizations that I had, that it was like, fuck, am I really chasing the thing I want, or am I chasing the thing that I'm being sold or I'm being marketed to? And I think oftentimes we're being sold a goal or a dream that isn't worth chasing.
Yeah, I think it depends, right? It depends what you want to accomplish, and or what you want to enjoy, because it is like everywhere, even traveling to places, right? We travel, not we, but I guess a lot of Americans, right, travel, like going to Mexico, going to Europe, going to these places, right, to see and live this experience for a week or 2 weeks, and then for a lot of people, like that's their right. Like, this is where I
That's
live.
it.
This is like this is their life. So it is one of those things that's it's kind of crazy. Which to counter that, I think what I building that life that you don't need to get away from is kind of that goal, right? Like if you get this house that you want, you get these cars, like to build such a life where you really don't need to travel as well. Like it's like, dude, everything I have is right here. I think that it in turn is kind of a goal that every one of those people are kind of sharing, right? Like, hey, like I said, I go fish. I'm at the beach. I see me, like, right. It's essentially that, like, building the life you don't have to leave is I guess what all those people, right? Because you're talking to the guys, like, why would I want to go to the U.S. like, and you're like, well,
Oh
why
yeah.
wouldn't you want to go? Like, well, what do you mean? And he's like,
So
I got everything I have right here. Like, so I think that's kind of more of the thing, is like building that life where you don't, not that traveling is bad. Like, I want to travel because there's history, right? There's history in a lot of these countries. There's things. There's
sure.
the Aztec pyramids. There's the pyramids. Like, to me, that's just cool. Like, it's fascinating history. But in the sense of like, where some of the people, when they're like, oh, I can't wait to get my one vacation a week to get away from this, like to go do, and I think that's the difference, right? It's like you want to build that life where you don't have to get away from, where you hate your 9 to 5, where you're just like, I can't wait for my 2 weeks of vacation so I can go to here and just, yeah, and I think that's a difference, right? Of building that life you don't have to get away from.
Dude, it's funny because like the all-inclusive resorts, I guarantee were built by American companies to sell to their own employees. I guarantee it. I guarantee it, because it's one of those things that, like, I've been to Mexico so many times, and I've really been there. Like, I went to the all-inclusive. I've been in so many all-inclusives, dude. I've been to probably 10 all-inclusives in my life where I've spent weeks at. And the story is the same. You show up, someone picks you up from the airport. Pretty classy, right? It feels good. You drive to the resort. They grab your bags. They check you in. They give you champagne. They walk you around this beautiful resort. And you sit down and they just hand you drinks. Drinks are free. They're complimentary. The food is 5-star. The beaches are perfect. And you realize that, like, essentially it's just America. It's the American booze. It's the American food. It's the American way, right? It's just there. It's in a warmer place. Instead of Minnesota or New York or fucking Seattle, it's in Cancun, Mexico. And there's like different levels, right? There's all budget types. If you want to spend 10 grand a week, you could spend $1,000 a week. Like, it doesn't matter. There's a budget for everyone. And you get shit-faced drunk, and you just remember this amazing time. And one of these days I'm going to get back here. And you work like the entire year to get back to heaven, right? Heaven on earth. And it's funny because heaven on earth down the street, where the locals live, or the rest of the expats, you could do all of that for a fraction of the cost. But it's not what's sold to you. And it's a realization that if you take the capitalistic like view out of it, you can you literally can live that life. And it was funny. I had a call today with a buddy of mine who's like, man, I want to get to like Lombok or Bali or Thailand or Turkey or one of these places and be able to live. And I go, why don't you do it? He's, well, like, I've got these other dreams, building these massive companies and making these millions. I go, well, what would make you really happy? He goes, like, just a simpler life. I go, why don't you just fucking do that? Like, good God, like, when did the American dream become about dollars? And what, like, is it about dollars?
Once again, it just, I guess, depends what you're looking for, right? Like, I don't know. I love America, right? I'm that person. Like, man, my dream is to, like, yeah, have something great here, build something, and, like, that's just me, right? I want to literally build that life. I want that big house that has all the stuff, right? The cool stuff outside that you can go do, big piece of property, land. Like, I don't know. That's just, to me, that's awesome. That's what I want. But and it's not for everyone. Some people don't want that. They want simpler things, smaller things, whatever. So I think it's just finding what you want, and then you're going to work towards getting that. And it's not, like I said, it's not for us even too. Like, why do we like putting our stuff on YouTube, right? We're trying to build our brand. We're trying to build, a following, like, but that's not for everyone, right? Some people think that's like ridiculous. Why would you want to spend all this time, recording and doing this stuff? And so it's all about just what the big thing, I think, is one of the takeaways is just doing what makes you happy and what fulfills you. And it's not, we are sold a lot of stuff, right? We got ads and everything, we're sold different points of view, different things. But the biggest thing is just finding, that why is like, okay, what do you want? What do you truly want? What's going to make you happy? And working towards that, that's what's going to give you that motivation to keep going after what you want. And like, really, and it's hard because we all have this, especially here, right? We're trying to compete with everyone else. We have our scorecards. We're trying to, posture and just show, like, oh, this is where I'm at, or this is what I have. So it's why I think a lot of people do get caught up in things. And like you're saying, you're asking, well, what do you really want? Or he's like, well, I'm building this, but then I really do want a simpler life. So it's just one of those things of like, we are, a lot of things we are doing is to impress other people that don't even really care. The biggest thing about what we do, what you find out putting videos on YouTube or Instagram or wherever, is a lot of people don't really care. Like,
No,
you think,
dude,
oh my
no,
gosh, I'm
they
going to get
don't.
made fun of. I'm going to get all this stuff. a lot of people really don't care. I mean, it really helps you actually, I think, and realizing most people don't care.
Dude, so we're at this like it's crazy like the place that we found. So we found this really cool hotel resort style in like near downtown Tulum. It's like half a mile away from downtown. I can get street tacos whenever I want. Like it's just amazing, dude. It's an absolute amazing place. We've got little criminals behind us that flip us off every day because they hate tourists, and that's like it's awesome. Like I love waving to it because I don't give a shit. And so we're at the pool and I'm we're swimming, and there's like this huge family of like I think they're Israel's. I don't know what the proper term is. They're from Israel. They're Jewish people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, for some reason they're allergic to the water. I don't know what it is. I'm diving in the water. I'm acting like a crazy American tourist, right? Just having fun, screaming, yelling with my kid. And they're playing like frisbee, but they're like afraid of the water for some reason. But they throw their frisbee inside the water, and they see the camera that's like kind of doing some B-roll, some of those time lapses of us playing the pool, to put on our Adventures 3 travel channel. And the guy, I hand him the frisbee, and he goes, "Oh, YouTube." I'm like, "Yeah, we have a YouTube channel." He goes, "How many subscribers do you have?" I go, "We're like, in this, sixes." And he goes, "Oh, 6. Oh." And then just turns around and walks away. And I'm like, what was that about? And I swim over to my wife. I go, "Did you hear that?" She goes, "Yeah, he thought you had 6 subscribers." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, we have like 600 something subscribers." I go, "What a dick." Like, what? Like, he said he was going to subscribe, but as soon as he heard how many subscribers we had, he goes, "Oh no, we can't be a part of that." I go, "Fuck you. Like, what are we doing here?" But at that very moment, I realized that no one gives a shit. Like, no one really cares. And it's, building building an audience of like 1,000 true fans is worth way more than building an audience of millions of subscribers who don't really give a shit.
Oh, for sure, right? Like the end goal, right, is to entertain, inform, be impactful. So it is one of those things, and what reasoning he need to check out your stuff, whether you're at 6 or 6,000 or 600,000,
Dude, it could have been 6 million. I'd be like, "Yeah, it's 6,
Yeah.
six-ish." It could have been 6 million. This guy doesn't
Hey,
even. He could have wanted a selfie, a fucking autograph, and a free T-shirt, but he didn't take the time.
yeah, but it goes back to, I don't know how many times we've brought up the topic too of it, even if it was like, no matter what, like there's so many people that don't know about, which is actually on that video, which was a fascinating video when they were doing the comparison of like, who, he had like a like a regular TV celebrity and an influencer, and asking people like, who's more famous, or who do you know, or and it is fascinating, right? Because like, do people know more people from traditional TV, your Jay Leno's and your Jimmy Kimmel's, or do people know more people from YouTube, Logan Paul or Mr. Beast, or whoever it is. So it's like it is, fascinating, the world we live in, and with media, like how famous or not famous people are, we think they are, and they may or may not be.
It's a wild world out there, and it's this trip at least has been very enlightening, to say the least. This is probably this has been it's been one of the like it's been one of those trips that like has really kind of made me understand what I truly want out of life, and has made me realize that there's a crazy world out there. It's absolutely nuts, and it's wild. We were sitting down with these 4 other digital nomads, and we were talking about like cost of living, and each of these. So the 4 digital nomads were essentially, one couple was from Italy, one couple was from Germany, one couple was from Poland, and then Mexico, and then us, the United States. And we were all like swapping like stories about like immigration, healthcare, retirement plans, and what else? Like cost of living. And it was so funny that we all had, no matter our like political backgrounds, no matter like our capitalistic ways or anything like that, it was funny to hear that Germany, Mexico, Italy, Poland, and the United States all had the same problems. They had a problem with immigration. Uh, the countries would incentivize anyone that was non-local. So if you were an immigrant and you wanted to come to that country and start a business, the government would essentially it was tax free. And then healthcare was essentially free for anyone that was dirt poor. So if you didn't have any money, you got free healthcare. But if you had a little bit of money, it was extremely expensive. And then the retirement came up, and they were all asking us like different retirement plans, and they were all the same. You had to contribute every single month, and at anywhere from it was like 63 to 67 is when you could retire, and it was all set up the same. And it was super interesting to hear from different countries the different problems that we all had, and they were all the exact same. And I was expressing this discovery with one of my friends, and he goes, "It's because the United States doesn't run the United States; it's the central bank." And he came up with this like conspiracy theory that only 100 people actually rule the world. And I was like, that kind of makes sense now.
Yeah, man, the World Economic Forum. You ever
It's
heard
crazy. It's absolutely nuts. It was
Yeah.
It was like in person. I got to see it, and I got to because as someone that's like from the United States and that consumes United States media, you don't really realize what other politics and other things that are going on in the world. And then you realize you sit down with other people who are living very similar to you, and you recognize that they have the same issues and they're trying to get away from the same problems as you are, even in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when it comes, because a lot of those, issues, it's sorry, I can't think of the word. It's not a modernized, but any of these, a lot of those countries, they're not third world countries. So right,
No.
they all kind of they all have these kind of similar things because they eventually the countries all kind of run similarly, or try to model the U.S. But yeah, it's then when you go to the extreme though too, because you can find out there's places in the world that are having constant civil wars. There's constant different army groups that are taking over the country. In these some of these African countries or some of the other places where it's just a total different type of life, right? Like where it's just a constant war all the time and all these things. So it is interesting, but because I think at the end of the day, right, people just want to be left alone. They want to be able to live their life. I think, right, like kind of what our whole theme of the thing is. People just want to live their life, whatever that life may be. They just want to live their life. They want to be left alone. They want to enjoy it how they want to enjoy it. And I think a lot of it, and it does. A lot of governments incentivize the people to not work, to live off the government. And well, why are they doing that? So people can keep voting for them and keep those people in power. As essentially, right? That's why not to get too conspiracy theory, but why else would they incentivize people to not work, to live off, hey, take our benefits, take our health care, take this stuff. Oh man, these people here, they're the ones that are giving me all this stuff and I don't have to do anything. So I'm going to keep voting for them, keep them in power. It's that thing, they do want to incentivize people to not, work and to do those things. So it's the world we live in.
It is the world we live in, and I think it's having different wants and goals in this life. I think there's a tribe for everyone, and it's fun to at least for me, it's fun to have these conversations about different life things and different world things, and to see the different beliefs and the different elements that people go through. It's so funny to ask someone that lives and breathes, Mexico. I asked them, I go, if you want to just walk across the border, if you want to join if you want to go into the United States, and they're like, why the hell am I going to do that? That sounds horrible. And I was like, it's so weird. Like, it's weird not to be as excited as I am about being a United States citizen. And, but at the same time, I was meeting with this German guy, and he was talking about Airbnb arbitrage. And I go, oh yeah, I've heard about that. We used to run an Airbnb. He goes, oh, that's pretty cool. I go, why don't you just package all these Airbnbs up and then sell them to like a hedge fund and raise some capital and then really kind of scale this business. He goes, that's the most American thing I've ever heard in my life. I go, what are you talking about? He goes, what do you roll these things up? He goes, I'm just trying to get like 3 of them. I just want enough money to live on in Mexico. Like, what are you talking about? Rolling them up and like selling them to a hedge fund? Like, he goes, how do you even do that? I go, well, it's kind of easy. You just build the model and go for it. But it's I don't know. It's been fun. It's been crazy. The One of the things that I've realized in the last like 60 days of doing the daily vlog, which I'm giving up. Actually, I'm not giving up. I'm just transferring it to our travel channel. I realized my personal brand was all of a sudden the action, not the action, the Adventures 3 YouTube channel, and I was like literally. I looked at my wife. I go, dude, the Adventures 3 video is literally just the daily vlog. She goes, well, why don't you just put the daily vlog on the Adventures 3 channel? I go, I guess that makes more sense. So we switched that. But it was funny. A couple episodes ago, I disclosed what I truly want out of life, and I started analyzing like why I felt like the negativity around what I truly wanted out of life. And again, I'm not like the rest of the people in Mexico or the rest of the world who just want to live by the beach and go fishing every day and have the one boat and catch enough fish for everyone. Fuck that. Okay. I want to be rich and famous. Okay. And I finally said it out loud and it felt good, Nate. Like it felt weird to say because like I was thinking about it. I was asking my 5-year-old, I go, what do you want to be when you grow up? He goes, I want to be the garbage man. And I'm like, fucking cool. Okay. Like he's got no shame, but as people who like create stuff online, when you say something that's sounds a bit wild, like wanting to be rich and famous, it's nerve wracking. And but I finally said it, Nate. So that's what I truly want out of life.
That's good. Two takeaways. I think more people are afraid to say what they really want, right? Because whether it's big and audacious, and people think, well, that's never going to happen, right? So people don't want to get that negativity. That's unrealistic, which I love hearing. That's unrealistic because you just put that, you put it in your motivation box when you need it, and you just remember, you're like, man, this person said it's unrealistic. This person said you're dumb for thinking that. Whatever it is, they didn't believe in you. So I think it's good, to say what you want, to the big audacious goals, and it just builds that motivation. And then 2, on your son, saying he wants to be the garbage man. I think you're thinking small. You're thinking the garbage man that's picking up the garbage. He
No,
might be
God,
thinking, I
I'm
want to
not
be the
thinking
garbage man.
small.
He wants to own the big garbage waste management company. He's like, I want to be known as the garbage man because I own all these big waste management companies.
It's there's a great story. So this guy, the guy who created Waste Management, um, he was like pissed about his like garbage service. So he just bought a garbage truck one day, and then he recognized that like he could just go around to other small communities and just buy the like the actual like routes of these garbage trucks. So he just started buying more garbage trucks, and then all of a sudden, he took like a $5,000 garbage truck and made he's now a billionaire. I think he owns like a couple NFL teams, or I can't remember the full story, but it was one of those things that like, yeah, you can definitely, garbage is one of those things that you can make a lot of money.
Well, and I don't know the whole thing, but it's one thing like you don't really think about, and it almost comes to kind of like electricity and why solar is like a kind of a thing, but like it's not through the city, right? Like and some might be, but
Sure.
like at least when I feel like, yeah, waste management, and it's literally like you pay them to pick up your garbage. Like you could have essentially pay someone else to pick up your garbage and take it to the dump. That's all they're doing. But like I don't, it is right. Like someone could just say like, start knocking on doors. Hey, I got my trailer. Do you want me to pick up your garbage? Like here's my can, right? By your and like just throw it in there and then I'll grab. Like I don't know. It is one of those things that you could just start doing it. I don't know what the whole what regulations are, but like but it is essentially it's a private business, and a lot of people don't really know that or think of it as that way.
So there's this guy in Texas who's an entrepreneur. He's like a tech guy, and he lives in like a pretty fancy neighborhood outside of like Dallas, and the neighborhood's got like 2,000 or 3,000 homes in it, and it's like a gated community. And like every Thursday when he would drive home from work, this fucking garbage company would just like throw the trash cans. They would like pick up the trash and then they would just toss the trash cans. So some days you didn't know where your trash can was. It was in the neighbor's yard. It was down the street. There was trash everywhere. And he was like so pissed. So he went on Facebook Marketplace. He found a garbage truck. Okay. Like a used garbage truck. He goes, all right, there's one available. So I'm going to try and solve this problem. So he goes on Facebook, his like neighborhood watch Facebook group. And he says, hey, are you as pissed as I am about our garbage service? I'm sick and tired of these garbage people. They charge whatever they want, and they don't take care of our neighborhood. There's trash everywhere. There's cans everywhere. And I want to solve this problem next month. But I need at least 500 customers, and I'll pick up your trash every month or every week, for like, I don't know what he charged, like 40, $50. And he got like 1,000 customers. So he got like half the neighborhood. And so he goes, I literally just made like, I don't know what it was, 1,000 times $30, whatever. What is that? 30 grand,
Yeah.
300 grand, whatever it was. Took that money, went out and bought the garbage truck, and then figured it out. So he goes, yeah, every Thursday I have to take off a day of work to go pick up my trash. And he's a garbage man. He goes, it's once a day, it's once a week, and I solved the problem. And now in the next couple months, I'm going to buy another garbage truck, and we're going to expand to more of the neighborhood. And I'm going to hire these employees to essentially, so I don't have to do it anymore. But it's as simple as that. Like, so when my son was like, I want to be the garbage man, I'm like, fuck yeah, you do. Like, that'd be awesome. Like, let's do it. So.
I mean, even to that, like at apartment complexes, there's a valet service where you have a can where you don't want to walk it all the way to the dumpster where it is. There's a can every five nights a week. You just put your one bag in there and they'll come and take it to the dumpster for you. I mean, there's even that, right? Like there is a service, there is a business idea, everywhere, right? Like, hey, you're too lazy to go walk it all the 100 feet to the dumpster, we'll come and pick it up for you and take it over there. So it's which is at the same time, like everyone has that. So they do it through the apartment complex, or get it where like, hey, it's free service, but I'm sure it's in your rent now or something. But essentially though, you got however many 180 units, you got 5 nights a week, like boom, like you got a business now, and all you got to do is take the garbage, put it in the dumpster. That's there. You don't need a truck, you just need you and maybe another person to help you out run these routes and do it however many complexes you do. So there's an idea and a business everywhere.
So the same exact business idea literally landed in my lap, and I was about like 2 days away from starting this exact same business. This old guy who I had fixed his mailbox, this is a couple years ago, calls me and says, hey, I've got a huge problem. I go, okay, I'm a problem solver. What do you got? Like, you call me when your mailbox gets hit. You call me when your light bulb gets broken, like, and I got to drag my ladder to your house and I change the light bulb for you. I go, what do you got? He goes, yesterday I almost fell down the driveway because my trash can almost, like, I lost control of it and I can't take my trash can down to the end of my driveway anymore. And I think there's a business here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that doesn't make any sense. What do you mean you can't, like, because me, I'm 30 years old, healthy guy, runs all the time. Like, you never thinking about it. At 80 years old, dragging a trash can that weighs, 50 to 100 pounds. There is a business here. There is a problem, and I think, Nate, I think you're onto it. It's one of the things that I think is really good for old people, but also forgetful people. Do you know how many times I've woken up from the noise of the garbage truck down the street and go, shit, and I run out there in my underwear and I'm dragging my trash can and praying that they'll pick it up on the way back, because they'd already driven past my house. It's dude, I think it's a great business.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's it's whether you're forgetful, whether you just can't take the big can out anymore. Yeah. I mean, there is something which, and there's literally specific 55-year-old communities, gated communities, like, your target market. Cool. This is where I can go. I don't need to go to all the neighborhoods. I look up all the 55 plus communities and hey, they are all going to need eventually, or maybe a lot of them would like that service. So it is,
well, and then you start adding on other services. So, hey, I'm the guy who drags your can out. We also can drag it back, right? So on Monday, we drag it out to your front of your house, and on Tuesday afternoon, we drag it back so that you can continue to put trash in. But you know what? Your trash can is pretty smelly. It's pretty stinky. Okay. You've got your 17 cats. You keep dumping your cat shit in the trash can. It's caked in there. It's not good. So we come by with a pressure washer and we clean your trash can for you. I don't know where we dump that wasted water. I don't know if we have a bin to dump it in or what, but we clean trash cans. I think there's ways to make money everywhere. And I'm getting fired up. I want to start another business. I want to start a service business.
There are these cool trucks that you could have 2 cans on the top. They grab it or they put it on and they wash
I've
it.
seen them. Yeah, they're about $100,000.
Yeah.
They're very expensive. I'm talking about the guy with the $300 pressure washer with a generator in the back of the truck, and we just spray it out real quick. I don't need no fancy $100.
I'm sure you can figure out some sort of contraption to hold it over the trailer. You spray it in there, take it down, and you're gonna fill up the trailer with water, I guess, or something. Yeah. Some sort of portable pool that you're gonna carry all this water in, drive it, and then you can just dump it somewhere else.
These are very small problems, Nate. We can solve them all. Yeah, man, it's there's ways to make money in this world that is just pretty incredible. If I was in a fixed location, I would want to start all of these businesses. Oh my gosh. I have this one idea where I have this crazy idea of starting a business in whatever location I'm at and then giving it away when I leave. So essentially get the first customer, come up with the idea, come up with the logo, start the business, start getting customers, start getting profits, and then give it to some local entrepreneur. I think it'd be really kind of a cool business idea. Or it's not a business, more like a content machine. But I had that idea. But yeah, man, just being here in Tulum, Mexico, with all these bikes, dude, these guys are pretty genius. So they're buying these bikes. They buy these brand new bikes, which only cost like $100. They're turning around and selling them to tourists because it's cheaper to buy. So if you're going to be here any longer than like a week, it's cheaper to just buy a bike than it is to rent the bike, because it costs like $12 a day to rent the bike, where it only costs like $120 to own the bike, And these guys, what they're doing is they'll sell you the bike for $120, and then they go, listen, at the end of your trip, I'll buy it back for half, which then you're like, fuck, okay, then I only bought a bike for $60. What am I going to do with this bike? I can't bring it home. I can't put it on the airport, on the airplane. Like that is not going to make any sense. These guys are just doing these like long-term rentals on these bikes, dude. I was like, holy shit, this is a great business right here.
For sure. Cause I'm sure as a tourist, I'm sure some people beat them up, but they're not getting, like anything, they probably don't use it as much as they think they're going to.
No.
Yeah, right. So it's really like, hey, I got this bike that's only been ridden 5 times, and it just, even with the year, you're making your money back 100x in a year, if not more. Just buying and reselling the same bike.
Dude, I was like, how many of these bikes can I buy? Like, is there any office space? Like, how do I get into this business? Because it's crazy. $12 a day. And I was just blown away, because we did the math on a month. They would charge it was like $400 to rent one bike. And I was like, fuck, I can buy a bike for $120. Like, what the hell am I going to do? Why would I rent a bike? Anyways. And then you can get into a whole you got to protect your investment. So here you gotta buy my $15 fucking lock, great opportunity. And what are you gonna do with the bike lock? I'll buy that back too for $5, and great businesses everywhere. There's ways to make money everywhere in this world. And I'm just rather excited about it. I get all these business ideas, and then I get nervous about, having them and starting them. There should be nothing to be nervous about.
No, not at all. You're gonna learn. I think that's what holds a lot of people back is the failures, right? Like looking silly on video, looking silly that they tried to start this business and it completely failed. Like, you learn so much more from that than not doing it at all. So I'm just gonna, don't sit on the sidelines, get in there, try it out, put yourself out there. Oh, I made this post and I'll come pick up your trash can and no one responded. Oh, who cares? Maybe make the post better next time. Maybe do something else. Maybe go offer, knock on some people's doors, say you're gonna do it for free. Hey, they like that. Now you can start charging them. I mean, there's just so much stuff. It's so it's difficult, but at the same time, it is so easy to get going on something. Like it's literally what what does it take to have a business? You know, it's like you offer service and you get paid for it. You know, and have your checking account and have a way to process money. You know, it's the basics of it is so simple. You know, like that's your business. Cool. You don't need business cards. You don't need a website. You don't need all this fancy stuff
you don't need an
that we
LLC.
no. Oh, I actually got in a debate. Not sorry, this is a side note. My coworker and you know what we do, and he's like, because you know they're just talking about on registering the state at LLC. He's like, well, then it's not on the it's not on the state website. It's not a legit business. I'm like my I don't have an LLC. I'm pretty sure I'm a pretty legit business. You know, so he's like, well, no, I mean it's and I'm like all that is, and I was trying to explain to him, and he got kind of was like, if you have an LLC partner or whatever those different corporations are, you're registering with the state. That's a fraction of the business. I know there's 1,000 businesses that do that, and there's probably about 40,000 businesses in the state of California. You're saying they're all not legit businesses. Like just, and I was like, just trying to explain to you, just kind of get frustrated. Like, I'm just explaining to you the process. That doesn't mean it's a legit business because it's on there. All it means is it's an LLC. Like it's a corporation.
Corporation, yeah.
There's there's millions of businesses that aren't corporations, and they're sole proprietor. That's kind of explained, but it's just fine. But yes, you are a legit business if you offer a service, get paid, have a bank account, have a business, way to process those things.
And it's so like it's one of those things that a lot of people come to me and ask me like, how do you start a business? I gotta find someone to design the logo, design the website, and do the Google My Business. I go, bullshit. You need to find a customer. And they're like, what? I go, yeah, like what? You just need to find a customer. Like that's it. That's problem one you need to solve. Yeah, but I don't know what kind of t-shirts I'm gonna make. I go, no. You don't need to worry about any of that shit. Like find someone willing to purchase whatever you're selling. If it's a service, it's a product, if it's a software, if it's a YouTube channel, it does not matter. Like all you got to do is find a customer and solve a problem. Like it cracks me up that, I used to do the exact same thing because I learned from this one guy who said, you got to do these 15 fucking things before you actually go get a customer. And it was bullshit. And at the end of the day, like it cost me hundreds of dollars. And once I got into the business, I got my first customer and I realized I hate painting. Okay. I hate painting. Painting is the worst thing in the world. It's messy. It fucks up your truck. Like there's still a stain on the bed of my truck that I look at that I won't get rid of because I go, the reason why I don't form LLCs, okay, and build websites and do something before I get a customer is because of that fucking stain. Okay. I had this beautiful business, this beautiful idea that everyone thought was genius. And then I got paint on the bed of my truck and I was pissed. I was so mad. I go, fuck this business. I hate painting. And it's just one of those things that you don't realize until you dive into the weeds that you actually don't love what you're doing. And, my advice is always just find a customer first.
For sure.
All right, Nate. I think we need to wrap at that. I got a vlog to film. We got this. I've got businesses to create. Apparently, it's I got lots of action to take.
Dude, we do, man. We always get jacked up doing our podcast, and we go take some action for the day.
All right, man. Well, till next time.
Take some action.
It's about drive. It's about power. We stay hungry. We devour. Put in the work. Put in the hours, and take what's ours.